Have you ever looked at your messy desk or found yourself working late into the night? Or maybe even laughed at a really dark joke and wondered, could these be signs of something more? Well, today, we're going to dive into the fascinating and often really misunderstood world of high intelligence. We'll explore some pretty peculiar habits that just might be its secret signature. So let me ask you, when you picture a genius, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it some person solving crazy math problems in a split second? Or someone with a perfect, flawless memory? Our culture has sold us this very specific image, but the reality? It's often so much quieter, a little messier, and honestly, a lot more human. And you can really see that contrast right here. On one side, you've got that classic Hollywood stereotype, the brilliant but kind of awkward recluse. But on the other side, we see these completely unexpected traits. I mean, things we might even think of as flaws, like a messy desk or a habit of talking to ourselves. We're about to explore exactly why these very human habits might actually be the hallmarks of a highly active and intelligent mind. Okay, let's kick things off with a classic. For a lot of people, a messy desk is just a sign of a disorganized mind. But what if it's the total opposite? What if it's actually the playground for a mind that absolutely thrives in creative chaos? This right here gets to the core of the psychology behind it. See, a super tidy space can actually encourage conventional, by-the-book thinking. But a cluttered one? It can kind of liberate your brain to find new connections between things. So it's not really about being disorganized, it's about sparking totally unconventional thought. So, moving from our external environment to our internal one, let's look at our next habit, self-talk. It's something a lot of us do, right? And listen, it is far from being a sign of madness. It's actually a really profound cognitive tool. So here's what's actually going on. When you say something out loud, you're engaging a whole different part of your brain. It forces you to structure your thoughts, and it makes these abstract ideas feel way more concrete. It's kind of like having a meeting with yourself, and believe me, it is an incredibly effective way to get some clarity and focus. Are you one of those people who's most productive when the rest of the world is fast asleep? Well, this tendency to be a night owl isn't just a lifestyle choice. Some fascinating research suggests it might have evolutionary roots that are tied directly to intelligence. The theory here is pretty wild. Think about it. For most of human history, we were creatures of the day. So choosing to be active at night is an evolutionarily new thing. Some psychologists actually see this break from the norm as a sign of a more adaptive and curious mind, one that's willing to explore new frontiers, even if that frontier is just the quiet of 2 a.m. Now, this next habit might seem a little obvious, but I think its depth is really underestimated. Intense curiosity isn't just about, enjoying learning. It is the very engine that drives intelligence forward. I mean, just think about that for a second. A person who thinks they know everything has absolutely no room to grow. But a person who is constantly asking why and how, well, they're actively building their brain, forging new connections, and expanding their entire understanding of the world. Curiosity is literally intelligence in motion. Okay, on to a more controversial habit. A dark sense of humor. Yeah, it can make some people uncomfortable, but cognitively speaking, it's an incredibly demanding thing for your brain to process. To get a dark joke, your brain has to do some serious mental gymnastics. It has to process a really difficult or taboo subject, understand the normal emotional response, and then, on top of all that, appreciate the absurd, unexpected twist that makes it funny. It really requires high emotional and cognitive intelligence working together at the same time. In our super hyper-focused world, being easily distracted is usually seen as a major flaw. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if it's actually a sign of a highly creative mind? This idea is just incredible, isn't it? It suggests that for some intelligent people, that mental filter that usually blocks out irrelevant stuff is, well, it's a bit more porous. And yeah, that can make it tough to focus on a spreadsheet, but it's also what allows them to see a connection between, say, a bird's wing and a new airplane design. It's truly the wellspring of innovation. And finally, let's talk about the social side of things. It's a common stereotype that really smart people are loners. But the reality is way more nuanced. It's often just a preference for quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. And it's so important to understand this. This isn't about a lack of social skills. It's about how we consciously or unconsciously allocate our mental energy. Deep thought and chasing ambitious goals require immense focus. And for many, that just means investing their limited social energy into a few profound relationships rather than a wide circle of acquaintances. Okay, so we've gone through these 7 habits, but what's the common thread here? What's the thing that ties them all together? Let's connect the dots and take a look at the psychology behind these patterns. This breaks down a trait like curiosity so well. It shows that it's not just a feeling, it's a powerful 3-step process. It starts with questioning everything, which leads you to actively seek out new information, and it all culminates in synthesizing that info into new, groundbreaking ideas. This is literally how intelligence grows. And that leads us to this key concept, cognitive disinhibition. Now, it sounds complex, I know, but it's the idea behind why things like messiness and distractibility can be so powerful. A mind that lets in just a little more irrelevant information has a richer, more diverse pool of ideas to pull from, and that leads to those amazing aha moments of pure creativity. So, after exploring all these patterns, it becomes pretty clear that we kind of need to redefine what it even means to be intelligent. It's not just a single static score you get on a test. At the end of the day, intelligence is this dynamic, living process. It's about being curious, about embracing a little chaos, and about constantly thinking in new ways. It's really not about what you know, but how you think. And maybe most importantly, it's diverse. It doesn't look the same in any two people, and that's exactly what makes it so beautifully human. So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. Which of these so-called weird habits do you recognize in yourself? Maybe, just maybe, some of the things you thought were your quirks are actually your greatest cognitive strengths in disguise. Something to think about.